People aren't going to sit there and budge at it. You've continued to grow and expand in spite of it while increasing profitability and increasing your personal income because of it.
And I just want to touch on it real quick in case anybody's listening, where raising the prices isn't about price gouging the client. Like, that's not the goal. It's about having the right price for the services that allows the owner of the business to be able to build the business as opposed to being a slave to the business. The reality is that alcoholism and drug abuse and these types of things in the legal industry are at an all-time high. Mental illness, depression, anxieties are at an all-time high. Hey everybody, welcome to today's pod, Your Practice Master. We're proud to bring you this episode. My name is Richard James, and this is my co-host, MPS. He also happens to be my son. He's the better looking of the two of us. He's got hair. He makes this look a lot better. We're joined today by Jodi Donato. Jodi Donato is this previous year's EAY Entrepreneurial Attorney of the Year finalist. She has some amazing growth that she's gone through in 2022. We can't wait to talk to her about that. Jodi, welcome to the show today.
Hi, Rich. Thanks. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Jodi.
So, Jodi, we're going to talk today about you, because this is what our goal, just so you know, is on this pod is for us to be able to inspire that attorney that's out there listening and really come from the perspective, if one man or woman can do this, another man or woman can do this. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So before we get started, maybe we'll start a little lightheartedly. Tell me something that you don't think anybody typically knows about you. What's something that nobody really knows about you? And you got to be careful what you're going to share, because this is going to go to millions of people. No, I'm just kidding. No, but what would something be that people don't normally know about you?
So people that meet me would be shocked to know that in high school and probably until about I got out of law school, I was actually kind of on the shy side.
Really?
Whoa.
I'm shocked to hear that too.
I was shy in large crowds. I did not like walking into a large crowd alone. Yeah. If I went to an event with my mother, I walked in behind her.
Well, Jodi, that's quite the transformation, because I would not have pegged you as shy.
Yeah.
Is it introvert versus extrovert, Jodi? Like, do you not derive energy from people in crowds, or is it just you just were shy and now you've come out of your shell and you now are an extrovert? Like, what do you think?
I think I was just afraid. And I stopped being afraid. I used to be afraid, like being that person alone, wandering a room, not knowing anyone. You know, now I just walk up and talk to people.
Yeah.
In case you haven't noticed.
You know, I have noticed. Yes, that's what I love about you, or one of the things I love about you. Michael, do you remember what that acronym we used to say standard for? FEAR?
Yeah, fear, false evidence appearing real.
Yeah, he remembers. These are the lessons we had as young men when him and his brother were growing up in the house. So false evidence appearing real. So you found out, Jodi, that there was really nothing to be afraid of, right? The false evidence is you thought you had to be afraid, but then you realize there's nothing to be afraid of. The real funny story behind it is everybody else is just as scared as you are. So that you just have to overcome that and then go talk to people and they're willing to talk to you. Is that right?
Pretty much. I mean, I got to the point where it's like, all right, if you don't want to talk to me or you don't like me, that's your choice.
Nice. Yeah. My grandmother used to say that what people think about me is none of my damn business. So we're going to break into this a little bit. I want to talk about, this is a business podcast. And so we consider you an entrepreneurial attorney. I want to talk a little bit about your journey. So how did you become, why did you decide to become an attorney? And then did you work for somebody else, or did you open your shop up right away? And what did that journey look like to hanging your own shingle and becoming an entrepreneur?
So I actually wanted to be an attorney since I was 12 years old. And I used to follow all the criminal cases in the newspaper. And my plan was to become a big criminal law attorney and get all the criminals off scot-free. That was my goal. So I actually, after college, I was supposed to go to law school. I had taken a gap year and I was supposed to go to law school. And I was 21, 22, having a lot of fun with my friends. And I did not want to give that up. So I decided not to go to law school at that time.
Huh.
And I was working in the accounting field. And so in 1988, I had my oldest child, my first child. I was a single parent. I was working for a large car dealership here as the controller. I was doing very well. And that year on my birthday, my cousin looked at me and said, "Whatever happened with you going to law school?" And I said, "I can't go now. I'm too old." I was 25. But she got me thinking. So January of 1990, the same month my son turned 2, I started law school. And I started out part-time nights, switched to full-time days, and I got out in 2.5 years.
Wow.
Nice.
I came out, I got hired as a clerk for a firm while I was waiting for the bar exam results and all. And that's where I, learned matrimonial, family law, divorce in New York. And so that firm was not meant to be for me for long term. And then I started working for another attorney per diem. And interestingly enough, his matrimonial person had just left to become a child support magistrate. And she was phenomenal because I met her. She didn't know me, brought me a whole bunch of her books. From there, I worked for someone else. And I found out I was pregnant with my third child. And the same week I found out I was pregnant with my third child, that boss had all his bank accounts frozen and he was facing a grievance. So I kind of had no choice but to go out on my own. I never thought I would be on my own. It wasn't something I planned. And I do remember that first year, the office manager who worked for my former employer said, "You have to take out a yellow page ad." This is how far back we're going, guys.
Hey, when I built the firm in Phoenix, the first ad I had was a yellow page ad. So you and I are in the same boat. We're good.
So it was 1997, and the salesman comes in, and it was like $300 and some odd a month, and I don't even think it was over $350. And I looked at her and I went, "How do I pay that?" And she goes, "You don't have a choice. You have to do it." And I said, "Okay." And I listened to her. And I also learned at that job to track where all the referrals were coming from, things like that. Fast forward, I've been on my own ever since. And, a few years ago, I learned about you and Partners Club. I thought it was Your Practice Mastered. I thought it was a good program, but financially, I again went, and I had no one to tell me I had to do it at that point. So I didn't. And then after COVID, I came back, I joined up, and I love having the accountability. It really helps.
So the journey into law firm owner and entrepreneurship was a little bit of entrepreneurship out of necessity at the time, yeah?
Correct. And honestly, when I first started, I didn't see myself as a business owner. Actually, I didn't see myself as a business owner for many, many years. I saw myself as a self-employed attorney. And my net profit reflected a self-employed attorney.
I got to ask, that's how you saw yourself then. How do you see yourself now?
I am the owner of a law firm.
How exciting. Okay, so backing up on that, when did that transition happen? Like, how long did it take? We know you've been in practice for a while, but okay, so admittedly, you didn't see yourself as the owner of a law firm when you started into our world, or did you? Did you see yourself as an owner of a law firm when you started in our world, and that's why you found in our world? Or was it in our world you saw? Like, where was it that the aha moment came that you realized you were actually the owner of a law firm?
In your world, when I joined your world. Because prior to that, if someone said, "What did you do?" I'm an attorney. "Oh, who do you work for?" "I'm self-employed." I mean, that's what I said. I didn't say I have my own firm. Right. It wasn't until I joined your world, and it didn't take me that long to figure it out. I am a quick study, so I did figure out that, hey, this is a business. And, which seems ridiculous because my undergraduate degree was in business administration. So, I knew all the things. I just saw myself as a professional person, not a business person.
Good. I think you're not alone in that. But okay, so now we're a business person. I'm going to take you to a darker place, right? So because I think this helps people. I think this helps people. So what was your biggest entrepreneurial or business failure or setback that you saw in your journey to this point that you've learned from?
The biggest setback was the '08 crash.
Okay. And why was that such a big deal? Like, what was it about that hurt you?
Well, I remember come August of '08, I looked at my numbers. I hadn't looked at them that June because I had some other stuff going on. And I looked at them in August and almost had a heart attack because I was nowhere near where I should have been from the prior year. And typically I would, I always looked at my numbers, but June, I would see where I was in June, project out double that for the year. Now I'm in August and I was nowhere, I wasn't, if I doubled June, it still wasn't going to be anything good. And I think that had an effect on me because it took me a long time to bounce back from that. So I think mentally it affected me instead of my normal, all right, pull up your pants and let's go kind of thing.
Right.
Now if you fast forward to December of 2017, when the building I was in burned down, I was standing outside the building while the firemen were taking everything out of the building. And in my mind, I kept saying, all right, you have all these appointments tomorrow for will signings. Where are you going to do them? And in my brain, I was running through all the possibilities, the library, a diner, a restaurant, my house if I had to. I had all these ideas running through my head. And a friend of mine told me about a friend of hers who had empty office space. So I was actually in there the next day. That day, I sent out emails to everyone, listen, had a building fire, come to this address tomorrow to do your will signing. And, I took my laptop from home, my printer from home, a folding table, and, but they had a conference room at least. So, and I must have like 5 will signings because it was between Christmas and New Year's, and a lot of people take off that week. So they all scheduled their appointment. And I literally had back-to-back appointments, and I just went into survival mode.
I just pause for a moment and let's talk about the adversity in this story so far. We had the '08-09 crisis, and then we rebound for a few years. 2017 hits and the office building burns down. And then you come back up out of that. I'd say this is a pretty impressive story in adversity.
Yeah, well, and less than 2 weeks later, the temporary office that I was in had a flood.
Let's pile it on.
So 50% of what I saved in the fire, I lost in the flood.
Oh, no.
And a friend of mine said it sounded like a country song. So the only thing missing was alcohol. So I said 50% of what I saved in the fire, I lost in the flood, and I'm drowning my sorrows in a bottle of Bud.
Oh, nice. That's good.
That's great.
And then once I got into my current office, again, with a folding table and home printer and laptop, I remember the first day I walked out and I shut the door, I looked at it and said, all right, I hope it's here when I come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
started telling people that if I found leeches, I was moving to a cave.
And you would, but here's the interesting thing, Jodi, is I now know about you. You would have found a way to make that work, right? Mm-hmm. You would have just sold it to cavemen, I guess. So like but in all seriousness, like we know you're resilient. That has been proven through this story, and you also, your quick study based on what you said and I've experienced. And so now let's switch gears, see if we can give people the other side of this is, what is the moment in this journey that you feel like you experienced that biggest breakthrough moment? Like when did that breakthrough moment happen when, you're okay, you had the resilience, but then you learned something. What was that broke you through that somebody else could benefit from hearing you tell them?
So for me, it was after I joined Partners Club and coming to my first event, the amount of help that I got from the fellow Partners Club members, and honestly, everyone telling me the same thing, that I had to fix my phones before I did anything else. And hiring, I had the virtual receptionist, but they were really just taking messages and I was trying to return all the phone calls. So moving to giving them a script to use, breaking it all out, giving them the questions to ask, and then letting them set the appointments, which was very hard to give up control of. That was probably my biggest breakthrough because it freed up time for me to do other work. And at the same time, I had all these consults coming in.
And that's a wonderful thing. So you were able to fix your phones by delegating, right? You were able to offload it from your shoulders and give it to somebody else, which allowed you to stack up a full calendar. Yes?
Yes. And probably my biggest problem prior to that was, I did have some staff over the years, and, I was that person who, and I know I'm not alone in this, I was like, oh my God, it's easier for me to just do it than to try to explain it to her. And now I realize that I'm one person. I can't do everything, and there are only 24 hours in a day. I haven't figured out how to put 36 hours in a day yet. So, I am just one person with two hands. So, I can't be on 3 phone calls at once. I can't be doing 5 jobs at the same time. And I did come to realize and accept that multitasking is a myth.
Yes.
Unless it's a mundane task like watching TV and folding laundry. But
sure.
But you just, I want to unpack that real quick because I think you said something really important. Michael said it, you delegated. And I think what I heard is, Jodi, you stopped doing or wearing the $15, $20, $25 an hour hats, and you realized, look, your highest and best use was to be an excellent attorney and a biller of time, because that's your revenue producing opportunity. And so you started getting to the point where you were able to do more of your hourly billable work, which was maximizing your revenue and minimizing your work on all the other administrative stuff and phone stuff and sales stuff, because you were having somebody else do that for you. Correct?
Correct.
I mean, that if anybody's listening to that and they're in your boat, like, by the way, size of your firm right now, you're still, a smaller law firm with a few people, right?
Right. It's me. I have 2 people working for me, and then I have 2 per diems that I, per diems, I would call them, off site.
Yeah. So, we've learned the art of outsourcing and taking advantage of some global labor discounts that we've talked about through the years. And so that's good. And we're using trained individuals. But despite the smallness of your firm right now, which I love, it's a keep it small, keep it all mentality. And we're going to talk about where you might be going. But you've really finished out 2022 strong. I mean, it was,
I did.
Right? I mean, it was your best year ever, right?
Yes, absolutely. Best in 30. Best in the last 10, best in the last 3.
Nice.
It's fantastic.
There's no doubt about it. And definitely delegating is the way to go. And I don't know if you remember me saying this, but having the accounting background, I like to do my own books. I have an accountant, but I like to do the day-to-day stuff. And I am actually thinking about delegating that out.
A big moment here.
That's a big one, because I've been thinking about it.
I love it. I love it.
I enjoy it, but I've been thinking about it because I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
I love messing with software too, but if I spend all my days messing with software, I'm like, my business isn't going to move, right? And I could build out Infusionsoft or CRMs or whatever you want all day long, and I did that for years, and I loved it, but it didn't serve me. It didn't serve my business. I mean, there was a point at which it did, but then it stopped. And you're probably realizing right now you're starting to get to that point where it's no longer serving you. It's getting in the way of you doing other things that are revenue producing. So yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you have a success habit that you've turned to now to manage, whether it's managing yourself or something you do daily or on a regular basis to try to help you grow in the right direction and stay on track?
I don't know that I would say I have a habit. Probably, honestly, the biggest thing to keep me on track is, and like I said, there are times where I want to go do that because I know I could get it done in 2 seconds.
Right.
And I have to keep reminding myself, nope, leave it for Alyssa.
So it's just the discipline to not act.
Yes, which is hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
I feel like that's whether we want to call it habit or not, that leads to some of the successful outcomes is the discipline that habit produces.
Yeah.
Well, I think, Michael, you would admit that discipline has been the secret, to your success as a young career as well, right? I mean, having the discipline to act or not act at times at things that you shouldn't be doing. It's the key to the whole. Discipline's the key, the glue that holds it all together, I think, Jodi.
Cornerstone. Yeah, it's the cornerstone that keeps the ball rolling forward.
So Jodi, what are you most excited about? What are you fired up about today? What are you looking forward towards? Whether it be your business or personal or both, but probably business since we're in that cycle. What are you excited about your business?
I'm looking forward to freeing up more time with delegation so I can do more planning, more thoughts on marketing, because right now all my marketing is organic. I don't have any paid marketing. So, but I want to get to a point where I can comfortably take in the additional consults and clients before I branch out to paid marketing.
Yeah.
Because right now
you want to build a little bit of capacity.
Yes, because with my organic marketing, I am pretty busy. I'm pretty booked. So if I could get to the point where I can get more time in the calendar.
Hey, by the way, have you raised your prices along the way here?
Oh, absolutely.
Was that part of it? I mean, because you're on your own, right? So if you were probably, it's safe to say you were charging less, years ago than you're charging now.
Oh yeah, I was pretty much, my theory was stay in line with the people that are in my area, people who I considered were like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would raise my rates over the years. I used to raise it like on the anniversary of my admission.
Yeah.
And like I said, I first looked into your Practice Mastered a couple of years back. And one of the things your rep told me at the end when I said, no, I can't do this right now, I'm too scared. He told me to raise my hourly rate at that time. And he had given me one number. I said, I can't do that. And he said, okay. So he changed it by $5 to $3.95 an hour. He's like, okay. I was like, okay, I could do that. It wasn't easy. I did it. He also told me to raise my retainers, which that took me much longer to do. And I think it really is a mindset, because prior to that, I felt like, how could I do that? I'm not one of these big firms, and I think I wasn't placing enough value on what I do, what I know, and who I am as an attorney. So I raised it then I raised it again before right around the time I came in, and then last year I raised it again. No, last year or this year, I can't remember. No, this year. I went up this year because it's 30 years of practicing. So I said I'd do it in February, otherwise I'll forget when I do
it. And Jodi, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you didn't have all of your prospects start saying, oh, I'm not going to work with her because she raised her prices. In fact, I'd argue you've probably started to generate more clients, haven't you?
Well, I definitely generated more income. And no, I've never had anyone say anything to me about the hourly rate. Maybe one or two have been like, oh, can you discount that at all? And I'll say, no, I'm sorry.
I love it. Goes to show you can raise your prices, and as long as you got the right systems and structures in place, people aren't going to sit there and budge at it. You've continued to grow and expand in spite of it, while increasing profitability and increasing your personal income because of it.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on it real quick in case anybody's listening, whoever, like, raising the prices isn't about price gouging the client. Like, that's not the goal. It's about having the right price for the services that allows the owner of the business to be able to build the business as opposed to being a slave to the business. The reality is that alcoholism and drug abuse and these types of things in the legal industry are at an all-time high. Mental illness, depression, anxieties are at an all-time high. And I don't want to say that profit is lack of profit is the cause of it, but it's certainly a contributing factor. And so when you have enough profit in your business to be able to afford support staff to help you take a lot of the stressful things off your table, you just get a better quality of life. Would you agree with that overall statement, Jodi?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it also enables you to delegate tasks in your personal life as well. 10 years ago, I was outside working on my own pool every summer.
Right.
I don't do that anymore. I have a weekly service. 10 years ago, I was trying to get the pool up and running and do all those things and, fell in and got hurt and all that good stuff. But
I'm laughing because I've done it and I've fallen in doing it. Yes. So I can relate. I was raised in Scranton, Pennsylvania. So first of all, we didn't have a pool, and anywhere we had a pool, the only way to swim in the pool was to take care of the pool.
Right.
And so I could remember falling in as a kid.
But here's the question.
Pushing me.
Did you fall in with the cover on?
No, I did not fall in with the cover on.
I was trying to throw the pump in to clean the cover, and I went flying with the pump, hit my arm. I looked like I was beaten. I was so bruised.
Oh man,
that's actually dangerous.
It was because I was getting caught up in the cover, but I was able to get to the side and get out of the pool.
Oh my gosh. Oh. Well, so I got a question as we wrap it up. So this is gonna serve two purposes, and Michael might have some comments on your answer. But one purpose is your younger self, and the other purpose is for anybody that might be listening, that might be in the similar boat as you, small and solo, or maybe having a larger firm that is still struggling with growth and profitability right now, and they're learning from you. What's that piece of advice you would give to your younger self simultaneously to somebody who's listening? Like, there's no one answer to anything, but what is that piece of advice you'd give your younger self?
You're a business. Run it like a business. Stay on top of billing and collections. Run it like a business. It's a business.
I love it.
It's not a job. It's a business.
Well said. I think that's something, a lot of law firm owners or attorneys are in the process of developing that mindset. And I love that. I think that summarizes the whole thing for you, right? Mm-hmm. You went from being an attorney to an owner of a law firm.
Yeah, you went from being an attorney who happened to own a law firm to a business owner who chose to have legal services as their business, right?
Yes.
Massive paradigm shift in mindset. Speaking of paradigm shift in mindset, Michael, we figured out a while ago that while we're willing to do this and put the work in, we do want a little bit something in return from our listeners. What is that?
It's our gentleman's agreement. Look, if this is not your first time listening or watching the show, and this is more than the first, and you're finding value from it, you're enjoying it, we invest our time, money, and resources into this show, and all we ask for in return is that you take a moment, you comment, give Jodi props. She did a great job. Let us know if you have any questions for her. And then depending on where you're listening or watching, hitting that follow or subscribe button and turning those bell notifications on so you can continue watching or listening to more of these. We have fun making them, and we're glad that you're enjoying them.
Yeah, I agree. We love pouring in. We love having these guests. And speaking of which, Jodi, thanks so much for sharing today. Hey, if anybody wanted to reach out to you, do you just want them to hit you up on Facebook or Instagram or go to your website? Like, what would you like them to do if they want to learn more about you or reach out to you in any way?
So my website is donatolawei.com,
Okay.
or you can email me at jodi@jodianddonatolaw.com.
Okay, great. We'll put those in the show notes for everybody. Are you active on social media at all? And are
I
you out
am.
there or no?
I am. I believe my Twitter is Donato Law.
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
I'm not positive. I'm on Facebook under Donato Law, so you could find my Facebook page that way.
No worries. We'll find it for you and put it in the show notes, and we'll make sure it's all linked. But thank you so much for sharing your inside baseball with all those who are out of the world. Appreciate you giving kudos into our World and Partners Club. But you know that how I feel about this, that we've talked to thousands of attorneys through the years, and you had to do the work, and you had to be the one that went out there and made it happen, and you did. And so congratulations to you on your growth.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Yeah, Michael, appreciate it. It was another good episode. I think we got some good things out of this. We got a couple of new headlines for everybody. I think it was a good call.
Sure was. Great work, Jodi.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. This was the pod. Have a great day.